Hello and welcome to a very special look at the Elsweyr chapter from Elder Scrolls Online. And I'm joined by Redders and G, who came and did capture with me. Hello, both of you.
Hi.
Hello.
What did we think of the experience?
I really enjoyed it. I remember playing Elder Scrolls Online back when it was like pre-release. So it was like the kind of early access stuff.
When it was a little bit laggy.
It was a little bit very broken on my PC and wouldn't work.
A little bit very.
Yes. Yeah, no, it didn't have a great launch.
No, it didn't have the best launch, and I've kind of just been watching over the game. I don't have a lot of energy to play MMOs, so it's been one of those games where it's like I want to see where it's going, and then like play it with you guys. You know, I prefer to play MMOs with other people and have a bit of banter and have a laugh with it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a lot to commit.
Yeah. And so when Bethesda were like, hey, do you want to come down, check out the Elsweyr chapter, do a bit of capture, see things a couple of months before release, I thought, well, I'm going with you guys. This will be really great. And you know, like, you guys were there. It ended up being really fun. Us chatting back and forth and messing around in the same instance. It was great. Yeah. I really like the look of this expansion. I love the new character. The new class is really fun to play.
Yeah.
And dragons. The dragons. So I'm excited.
Shall we start at the very beginning? I want to say the very beginning.
The dawn of time.
The dawn of time.
In the dawn of ages.
We'll start with the big thing, because as soon as this word gets said, I know what's going to happen. Every single player is going to want to know, are they Dovahkiin? And you're not. But dragons are in this.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see them on the screen now. It's worth pointing out that the build that we are playing is not the final product in any way, shape or form. It has quite a long way to go.
Yeah, it is a few months before release, so please do excuse that it does not look entirely finished.
Yeah.
As it should
sound
not.
entirely finished.
Yeah.
The build that we were playing actually has computerized voices for a lot of it, because it's filler whilst they're literally doing the lines for it now.
Yeah.
So if you hear anything weird, it's not you, don't panic. But yeah, so dragons are in. We saw some in like the under an hour that we played, and they were pretty majestic.
Oh,
they were pretty
beautiful.
active. And yeah, they've said to us that they're going to be very present in the game, and that they are going to be a challenge for players. We aren't invincible. We can't just like go and shout at them. They are going to be tied into the game quite heavily. They did also mention that they flew across the map, which scared me slightly.
There are things that fly around in Fallout 76, like the Mothman looking thing, and like the dragon-esque type figures that just sort of like roam the sky. And I feel like they've sort of taken that and incorporated that a little bit into Elder Scrolls Online.
I mean, they have also pinched slightly, with love, Bethesda, pinched the very obvious Deathwing the dragon, who travels one of the continents of WoW, burning people and places to the point that he has his own expansion called Cataclysm. So there is a bit of borrowing, but it's nice. I like that there's... I mean, I probably, as a player, in like 6 months, I'm going to be regretting saying this, but I like the concept that the dragon could just turn up and I have to run.
Yeah.
Or team up with people. It brings a bit of spontaneity to a game.
It adds a real challenge to your adventure. That's a really nice way of encouraging teamwork, even between people of like different factions that maybe would fight one another. They could team together, work together to take down the dragon, and then kill each other if they want.
Yeah, that's true.
How about it?
And what I quite like as well is that they're introducing a way of you being able to play the game and go through the chapters in any order, so you're not restricted to playing a timeline of release. So if you start playing Elder Scrolls Online due to the Elsweyr expansion, because you're really fucking into cats and you really like dragons and you're kind of obsessed with all that sort of stuff, you can absolutely, with this new release, go straight into the Elsweyr chapter and then move on into previous chapters that have been released so far.
Yeah.
And it won't actually be a detriment to your experience or your character's leveling or anything like that, really, which I think is a really cool thing to do.
They've done the same thing, I think, with Legends, so their card game.
Yeah.
There's a similar, like, you can pick and choose what you want, and I like that, because, yeah, I want to play the cat bit I don't really want to have to go through Somerset necessarily, Somerset, before I get to cat times.
Exactly.
Because I love cats. We all love
What?
cats.
You love
love
cats?
cats.
You didn't know? Did you not know?
I thought you
Sorry,
hated
everyone.
cats. I thought the
Shit.
last time you saw a cat, you kicked it.
Shh,
Oh, I mean,
don't-
yeah,
no,
Hannah loves
no,
cats.
No, which does actually lead us nicely onto the Khajiit. The
Khajiit.
Yeah!
I am so happy that the Khajiit are becoming a playable race.
It's all I play, so, you know.
Yeah, every time I play Skyrim or Oblivion.
You can't
like,
steal if you're not Khajiit, you know? Sneak and steal, that's all I want.
Want some skooma.
Oh my god, yeah. So yeah, like it's lovely. We went to you'll see it on the footage, like we're running around one of the old school hometowns of the Khajiit. So like before they were nomads and travelled a lot, they had a very fairly stable base with a lot of very old and quite solid architecture.
What did they say?
And that's kind of where we are.
It was like a combination of like Indonesian
And Thai, I think they
yeah,
said.
like it's honestly
Yeah,
so
like East
beautiful.
Asian, Indonesia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like that because it gives this. You find that like a lot of games have fairly bland color palettes.
Yes.
Cough, cough. Old
Yes.
Fallout games. Cough, cough.
Yikes.
And so I loved that when we were playing through this, there was so much like lush greenery and loads of really bright flowers that contrasted really well with the kind of solid stone architecture.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a really immersive environment.
Yeah.
With the Khajiit character creation. It's very similar to the character creation of the other classes. You know, you have your muscular, large, thin. I decided that I would go for a nice thick lady.
Mm-hmm.
Thick kitty.
honey.
She's a thick kitty.
and I love that you can also really get into the nitty gritty with your character creation. You can change so much. You know,
Yeah.
you've got your upper body, torso, chest, gut, waist, arm, hands.
Very
it's
typical
not
of the
even that, it's
Bethesda
even
character
more.
creation, though. I think, like in Fallout, they've essentially got that same. Like you can change the body structure, like you know, thin, thick. The face, like you can change so much about the face as well. So
I
I'm
know
glad
there was such a wide range of different facial markings you could have.
yeah.
That honestly, like I feel like it's gonna be very hard to come across a Khajiit that looks exactly like yours.
I was doing randomized. I
She's
think.
a very beautiful
Were
kitty.
you?
Yeah, I just
Oh,
did
God.
randomized, and Radis
you?
did. Radis
I spent
did.
my time.
Yeah, she got into it. So
Oh God, yeah, you did. There it is. There it is.
She's
That's
magnificent.
you.
yeah,
What is she
I was.
wearing on her head?
I was talking. I remember I turned around to you. I was like, "Do you like my 3 ponytails?"
Oh my God.
Oh,
Right.
and I was all, oh, what do you think of my flowers? And Hannah turns around and goes, no, I've got those flowers.
I
Just
did.
cursed me out.
I basically found this. Oh God, the Khajiit. My Khajiit.
Oh, the Khajiit
arrived.
have returned.
Oh shit. She heard us talking snap. Literally, in the first 5 minutes, I found a random staff that you two didn't find.
Yes.
So I basically switched to just, and it worked really well for the class that I picked, the subclass. But
yeah, you pretty much went full wizard. It was
I
great.
did. I literally, it was like, here is a staff, and also here's a rune that you found. Enchants it with extra fire. Go
Bloody
ham.
hell.
And I literally was just like, yeah, man. So there was no major tactic for me. But already, literally in 5 minutes, people were getting different stuff. We were seeing people with different things.
Yeah.
Which was really good, because there's nothing worse in a game than, like, for the first year, you're all just wearing the same quest clothes.
yeah.
Yep.
And you're like,
Yeah.
it's that dude again. I saw him 2 weeks ago.
What's mad about the like Elder Scrolls, like especially like we don't particularly like play it like a lot at all, and we were able to like go there, pick it up, and play with the ease. Like I didn't struggle at all.
I scrolled down to first person. Like I scrolled through the camera modes until we got into first person. And as I started playing, I was like, wow, this really does feel like Skyrim with a few extra MMO controls.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I play it as well. I don't
Yeah.
bother with third person, because I'm like, I want to do a Skyrim. So I literally having the time of my life. First person, fire, death wizard.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like
with friends as well.
yeah,
That's the big thing.
it's it's not quite Skyrim Online because there is that kind of set story, and MMOs operate differently.
Yeah. But you couldn't have a million Dovahkiin. It just doesn't
Oh
work.
my God, it's
Can you imagine
No,
just the
you really
shouting? There would never be any peace.
It's like a group of four, four people just decimating Skyrim, just going,
Yeah.
you don't want it.
Jesus Christ.
Full throw, duh, but like 4 times over. It's not.
You know that scene in Disney's 101 Dalmatians with the dogs where they carry the message? It'd be like that, but with shouts.
God. The beacons are lit. Gondor calls for,
Oh no. No. Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on. Let's talk about the final thing. The final major thing, at least.
Necromancy. We
I'm so
are
pleased.
getting necromancy as a class. It's gonna be great.
Yes.
It's
So,
gonna
for
be
those of
great.
you going, what the fuck are they? They manipulate mortal souls. They'll focus on illusion, conjuration, and destruction, according to my notes.
Said conjuration.
Well, gee, if you want to do conjuration, I won't stop you. It's down to you, babe. All right.
Oh dear.
Oh, wait.
So yeah, basically, and there's certain things. We'll look at we'll look at the builds and shit in a minute. But some of the stuff you do, you're considered to be an unwelcome necessity based on the storyline, which we won't spoil. But necromancy is considered this like harsh reality. We might have to side with it, so they'll put up with you as a class. But there are certain spells, if you cast them, much like if you punch a chicken, if you cast them, it's considered a criminal act, and you'll get in trouble for being unnatural. So, I think we had a breakdown. There are 3 subclasses within the Necromancer class. We have the Gravelord, which I think. We have Bone Tyrant, which I think might have been G.
Bone Daddy. Yep.
No,
And then
I
we
was
have
Bone Tyrant because I wanted to be Bone Daddy.
Gravelord, from my experience, I picked, I think, the first 2 skills of the active abilities area. And one of them, you throw skulls at people, like flaming, well, literally it's called flame skulls, so the clue's in the name. These like blue fired flame skulls that kind of explode.
Anything else?
Yes,
And
they
then-
do explode. I remember we saw it and we were like, oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's all about it. I suppose it's a very, that's the kind of necromancer you would expect. Or if you're a Diablo necromancer, you might expect a bit of this because there's a lot of summoning things and kind of using them. So, for example, Blast Bones, I think it is the other one I took. Blast Bones, which summons a flaming skeleton from the ground that will literally run at and explode on an enemy.
damn.
Which creates a corpse on death, which I assume then feeds back into something else.
I think the corpse that you create, you can then take the souls from.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Boneyard consumes
Yeah.
a corpse on cast to deal more damage, but also desecrates the ground. So you've got AoEs. Yeah, it's tied into basically graves, the recycling of bodies, which is pretty grim actually. But I like the idea.
Yeah, I'm down.
What else? We've got Skeletal Mage. So yeah, turns up, creates a corpse on death. Shocking Siphon, which will basically it's like the Sith
Goodness
lightning bolt.
me.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
pretty intense.
love a Sith lightning
But
bolt.
that's
good.
that's like level 42, so you have to get quite away from that. Okay, passive abilities. Reusable parts. When an enemy dies, within 2 seconds of being damaged by one of your abilities, your next X spell is free. Oh god.
That's cool.
Death Knell increases critical strike chance against enemies under 25% health by 5% for each Gravelord ability slotted. Right? Okay, so I guess you pop a point in that. Oh no, it's passive, so you don't have to
Passive,
pop
yeah.
a point in it.
No.
But that benefits you. Dismember. Your spell and physical penetration is increased by so-and-so when an ability is active. So that'll be
my
when a
goodness.
mage is up or a colossus is up. So you're buffing your armor. This build is very Diablo Necromancer, or at least the
Yep.
way I'm playing it, which is bone armor. And then you increase your damage done with dots, so damage over time.
Yep.
So that's the Gravelord. And then we have Bone Daddy, Bone Tyrant. Tell me about that.
I actually really enjoyed Bone Tyrant. I didn't get a chance to level it up as much as you did, simply because I spent a little bit more time just filming this part of the footage.
Yeah, I didn't film anything. Sorry, everybody.
No,
So
but you didn't film anything, so you could just kind of skip through and just get straight into the game and play. And I just
that's true.
I took like 10 minutes or so just to kind of have a little look around. No, Bone Tyrant was actually quite fun, and I really liked the look of the abilities, and the Death Scythe was really fun to cast. It had a great animation. It has a very clear area of effect visible.
It's like a cone shape, innit, on the floor.
Yeah, it's like a little cone that kind of comes out slightly diagonally from the sides and does like a huge area in front of you as well. So it's really, really easy to see in any camera type, any camera angle.
That's good.
Where you are hitting.
Yeah.
And I like that it kind of makes, for me, it makes the game a little bit more accessible.
Yeah.
I know we were in the beginning area, like, I know we were like level 1 and 2 and stuff, and we were very sort of baby levels, but did you struggle at all when you were like fighting against anything? Did you feel like
No.
Yeah. Like
no, but I would point out I had a fiery staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like it was quite easy to learn how to defend properly against a lot of enemies' attacks, because they've basically revamped the whole tutorial.
Yes,
so that
they
it's
have.
much
It's really
clearer
good.
for both all the simple attacks and simple defenses, as well as the more complicated spells and combinations. So they gave us a really, really good tutorial in the starting area. So when I got to the point where there was that little like captain guy who we had to fight to get out of the tutorial area, it gave me very clear on-screen instructions at all times, like, oh, you can do this to dodge, you can do this to block, hold this to do like a heavy attack, blah blah blah. It was giving clear reminders at every point in the fight to kind of drill it a little bit into your head how to fight, so that when I came out of there, I was like, hey, this is how I block this, boom, this is how I like parry this, boom.
And also you've got bone armor on, haven't you, for Bone Tyrant, so you're basically sorted. What else we got, Radis?
Yeah, so Bone Totem. Place a totem of bone at your feet that gives mana protection to you and your allies for 6.5 seconds, reducing your damage taken by 4%. After 2 seconds, the totem instills fears in enemies, holding them in place for 4 seconds. So this is going to be quite good for if you and your team are doing maybe one of your trials and there's a lot of enemies around and you want to kind of freeze the enemies whilst protecting yourselves. That's quite good, to help in those sorts of situations.
Also, shout out to them for freezing them in place, because fear mechanics usually are running all over the place and pulling everything else in the place.
So I like that. We have Grave Grasp, which says it summons 3 patches of skeletal claws from the ground in front of you, snaring your enemies by 50% for 3.5 seconds, and inflicting minor maim for 3.5 seconds, reducing their damage down by 15%. So this is a slowing. Ability.
Slowing, and also a debuff, it looks like, with the reducing of the damage.
Slowing and a debuff,
nice.
which is a pretty cool ability to have.
It
Once
is,
again,
indeed.
feels better for if you're in a big group with a big group of enemies and you just need to give yourself a break.
There's some nice stuff here that can work for both solo, and that's what I'm saying in all the builds. It's not you are solo, you are like raid builds. They are nicely balanced to play however you want. What are the passive abilities?
So with the passive abilities, the Bone Tyrant has Death Gleaning with a Bone Tyrant ability slotted. So you have to have a Bone Tyrant. One of your abilities has to be a Bone Tyrant ability, or this will not come into effect.
Work.
Whenever an enemy you are in combat with dies within 28 meters of you, restore 50 magicka and stamina. This effect can occur once every 2 seconds. That's quite good. It unlocks at Bone Tyrant rank 8. That's quite a low rank to be getting a nice bit.
Although actually, 50, is that a lot? How much have you got?
I think if it happens every 2
time?
seconds.
That's true.
It has a short cooldown and quite a large distance of effect again. They also, at Tyrant rank 14, has Disdain Harm. Reduce the damage you take from damage over time abilities by 2% while you have a Bone Tyrant ability active. So these passive abilities are very much, you have to have at least one Bone Tyrant ability or you're screwed. No, go home.
But if
Goodbye.
you've got bone armor up, which is a buff that you're, I assume, gonna completely, like, you're gonna keep popping up when you can in fights, that should be really decent for these.
Yeah.
What else you got? Increase your healing received by 1% for each Bone Tyrant ability slotted.
So if you have
So
all
that one does
5,
stack.
then you get 5% extra health back on all the healing abilities you have. And
Yeah.
we've already
Yeah, no,
seen
exactly.
that the healing abilities are pretty damn strong. Bone Tyrant rank 39, last gasp. Increase your maximum health by 1,393. Not gonna lie, pretty good.
No, that's impressive.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's kind of cool.
Last but by no means least, but we didn't actually play this one. We have Living Death.
Yeah.
So I would guess from the name and also the ultimate ability, Reanimate, that reses people, that this is more about, I guess, healing. Render Flesh, which is the first skill. Sacrifice your own power to repair damaged flesh, damaged flesh, healing you or an ally in front of you, but applying a debuff to yourself that reduces your own healing received and health recovery.
Interesting.
So yeah, it is
okay.
passing. It's not healing, because that's not how it works. It's the manipulation again of souls. So it's the manipulation of health, I guess, and funneling energy.
I kind of like that, because you're not really like a healer in essence. You're sort of like hurting yourself a little bit.
It's a bit similar, I think, to Shadow Priests almost. Not necessarily the moves, but kind of the thought process behind that type of character.
Yeah.
You've also got, oh god,
Expunge.
whoa, embrace the power of death, removing up to 3 negative effects from yourself and restoring magic or stamina, whichever maximum is higher. So that is that's basically a cleanser, a debuff.
So essentially,
debuff,
it
debuffer.
seems that like your abilities will debuff yourself.
Yep.
To help others, but then you do have an ability once you've unlocked it that will have probably a decent cooldown on it.
Yeah.
That you can then clear all the debuffs off yourself, refresh, and carry on.
Yeah, well, and also if you do have corpses nearby, it does still work on that. So Life Amid Death here does do an AoE heal that consumes corpses. Note, by the way, so far none of these are criminal acts, apart from, oh look, here's Spirit Mender,
Here it
summon
is.
a ghost. As soon as there's a ghost involved, it's a criminal act.
Big no.
Oh my goodness.
The spirit will heal you or the lowest ally around you every 2 seconds. Oh, so it's a bit like a Lightwell, a WoW priest Lightwell, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So that's every 2 seconds. It's up for 16 seconds, so it will heal for over 8,000 health.
Yeah, which is good.
Which is good. Yeah.
You then also have restoring tether, which sounds a bit like a mercy kind of like a line, and it's everyone who's between you and the corpse in a line gets healed.
Oh,
If that makes sense.
Damn.
So it's like a reverse health beam.
So run to the back of the
Pulling
group
it.
and just go whoosh.
Whoosh! Yeah, just yank backwards. Passive abilities. What else have we got? Curative Curse. When you have a negative effect on you, your healing done is increased by 4%.
Oh, okay. So it gives you a good reason to keep debuffs on yourself for as long as possible.
Which you get from doing stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess there's a bit of balancing and stacking of that. So you're a bit of managing of that.
Yeah.
Because they did say they didn't want us to micromanage pets. They wanted us to have like fun. They wanted it to be like you get to concentrate on everything. And this is quite a cool way of doing healing as a necromancer. Near-death experience. While you have a living death ability slotted, your critical strike chance with all healing abilities is increased up to 10% in proportion to the severity of the target's wounds.
Oof.
So if you can get off a heal quickly on someone who's almost dead, you're going to do quite a bit.
Yeah.
Also when you use an ability on a corpse, you generate 5 ultimate, which will go into your ultimate ability, which is like resurrecting 3 people, I think it was.
Jesus.
So
Heroes never die.
good. Yeah, it's very
Now they do.
I wonder if you can do it in combat, because that was something you couldn't do in WoW for ages, and then they kind of tweaked it all. It would be interesting. And then they changed. I think it's Discipline Priest spell, which was there's a mass res.
Ooh.
And then there's also Magicka and Stamina recovery for if you have a Necromancer summon active. By the way, just a Necromancer summon. So that doesn't necessarily mean a living death summon. That means you can get like Gravelord bone, like just spec a little bit into getting like a skeleton out or something like that, I guess, and use that. And
so
also,
with
there's
this
no
one, you're
point
not
in giving us
punished
extra
for
health.
mixing around, you know.
Yeah,
It's good.
and it's giving us magicka and stamina, because magicka is the shit we need. We're healers, or the closest thing to a healer. So you don't need health, you need magicka. So I am actually quite interested in that class. It sounds stressful. As an I dabbled in Resto Druid. I hated it.
Sounds like if you were
this sounds stressful.
It sounds like if you were to play like Dark Souls and you were bloody dead to the core and you're just roaming around hanging by a thread and you're sort of like hurting yourself while trying to help others in a way. I don't know, it's weird to explain, but it does seem like a really cool class, but a little bit like tricky to sort of navigate. But I think you mentioned obviously the thing around the undead pets and them wanting to sort of focus on the sort of resource management as opposed to that side of things. But it does seem like a good
there's
character.
nothing worse than trying to cook, because the whole controlling of the pets can be a bit of a faff. So I do like that with the Gravelord, literally you summon it and it dies. Like it's all on a timer. You haven't got to worry about it. It like part of the reason you're summoning it is so it does die and explode. So yeah, it's like situational awareness and resource management is the focus they want over just an obsession with making sure that your small thing gets to wherever it's got to be. Are you going to play Necromancer?
I don't think so. I think they're a fun class, but I know this is something that they're really focusing on and they really want to push to the forefront, but obviously not everyone can be a necromancer, but yeah, I think it'll be an interesting class nevertheless to add to the party, and I think they've obviously changed like quite a few things. I mean, as the sort of expansions go along, they're obviously going to keep learning things and keep adding to the sort of the way that you play and the way that you play with other people especially, but like I said, I really enjoyed the sort of environments. I think with the dragons, I mean, it's Season of the Dragon, so I personally am really fond of dragons and seeing how they sort of hashtag and how they incorporate them. But I loved what we got to play, and like when we played together.
You can always, if you don't want to be a necromancer, there are plenty of other classes you can be as a Khajiit.
Exactly, yeah.
So you just pick something else, or you don't even have to be a Khajiit, although it's clearly the best race,
obviously.
And if you don't play as a Khajiit, I'm going to be disappointed in you.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit torn between Gravelord and Living Death right now. Pretty much every team game I play as a healer. Currently, like, I am obsessed with being Moira in Overwatch and doing damage, but also
I love
really
Moira
looking after the team. So I'm really interested in Living Death, but I also really enjoyed Necromancer and Diablo. So Gravelord would also really work well for me.
Yeah. I think we're literally on the same page.
Yeah, so I think I'm probably going to be Khajiit, and I'm going to be mixing together Gravelord and Living Death abilities over time. Yeah.
No, I maybe I'll mix in a bit of Bone Tyrant. I need to look, really. But I think, I like the look of Gravelord a lot.
Yeah.
So, although it would probably have helped if someone had been Living Death in our party due to certain incidents that went down.
Yeah. So there might have been an incident where...
You know that saying about, would you, if so-and-so walked off a cliff, would you?
Would you do that?
We'll have the answer.
So there's a bit in the game where you have to blow a horn and then the horn disintegrates. And I was trying to jump off the cliff that the horn was on, and I felt like my character was getting stuck, and so I was like, oh no, there's an invisible wall, and then G managed to jump off, and I was like, how the hell did you do that? I've got an invisible wall. I take a step back and just leap straight off the cliff all the way down and kill myself.
Well done, both of you. I just looked over. I was like, what is going on?
What the hell are they doing?
I trust you with the footage, and this happens. So I hope you guys enjoy it, because I'm putting it on the end of this video as the outro. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you to Bethesda as well for inviting us out. As always, it's lovely. Although, curse you for stealing all the sweet rolls in advance. You know who you are.
Sweet rolls!
You know! Thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out things like we have a podcast. You can find all the information in the video description. We also have Sekiro footage. In theory, we may also be streaming again by now. You can always check the Twitter as well. All that information is in the video description. Let us know as well what you think about Elder Scrolls Online Khajiit Edition. Are you excited for necromancy? I fucking am. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. I will see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.